biomedical engineer, but before that, I am just a person who was raised inside of a kind of safety I didn't earn. I grew up in a version of this country that told me over and over that if something went wrong, there would be rules, there would be reason, there would be someone to step in before things went too far. I was taught to trust authority, not because authority is always good, but because I was allowed to believe it was. That belief was a privilege. I move through this world in a body that is rarely treated as dangerous. I get the benefit of hesitation before I get the burden of suspicion. I don't have to rehearse how to survive a traffic stop or memorize the shape of my own hands just to keep them visible. I was given a kind of peace that many people never get to experience here. And that is why when a woman was killed by federal agents during an immigration operation, something inside of me didn't just hurt. It woke up. Because even the fragile sense of safety I've always lived inside suddenly felt like a lie. It wasn't chaos. It wasn't a standoff. It was a moment that should never have ended in death. And the country didn't stop. It didn't gather itself. It didn't breathe. It didn't grieve. It just kept scrolling. And if I recall from a few months earlier when Charlie died, the whole nation went quiet. There were Virgils and headlines and people talking about how tragic it was, how every life matters, and how we should all pause. And they were right. But I couldn't stop thinking about the fact that this was the same Charlie who once said that gun deaths were simply the price of freedom and that other people's losses were acceptable as long as he got to keep what he wanted. So why did his death become a moment we all shared while hers barely registered? Why do some lives get to be mourned like stories while others disappear into a statistic? But I know part of the answer. It's because I live in a country that does not love all of its children in the same way. And I know, painfully, that I am more likely to be protected by the love than most. My skin buys me time. My face buys me mercy, and my presence is rarely read as a threat. And it does not make me better, it makes me responsible. Because if I can walk through this country wrapped in a safety net that others are denied, then I don't get to be quiet when that net is cut away from others. I don't get to look away when someone falls through. I study biology, and I know what happens when a system starts deciding which cells are worth living and which ones can be sacrificed. It doesn't become efficient, it becomes sick. And I refuse to be healthy inside a country that is slowly teaching itself how to stop caring. So I will speak, I will name what hurts, and I will refuse to let people disappear quietly. Not because I am brave, but because I am protected. And protection means you fight for the people who were never given it in the first place.